Hello, friends. I'm here with your weekly first day of social studies lesson. This week, we're going to be focusing on inventions. So, we're going to be learning about some of the inventors that created things like the automobile, the telephone, the radio, the TV, so things like that. So, to get started, though, we're going to introduce you to Thomas Edison. You might have heard of him before. He's a very important man. So follow along as I read, please. Many inventors took part in creating our modern world, but one of the most active was Thomas Alva Edison. Edison improved the inventions of others, finding ways to make the telegraph and the telephone work better. But he was also responsible for dozens of discoveries that changed how people lived, worked, and entertained themselves. The list of things Edison invented or helped develop includes the electric light, the phonograph, which is a machine for playing music, office machines, and motion pictures, like movies. He even played a role in developing reliable batteries. A legend in his own time, Edison became the most famous American in the world. I'm sure you can guess why he became so famous. So, what makes a great inventor? Thomas Edison reportedly said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. That means that having a great idea is just the start. What really makes a person a genius is working hard to turn ideas into reality. Most successful inventors have a few things in common. They work very hard and put their work ahead of everything else in their lives, including family and fun. Also, mistakes and failures don't slow them down. In fact, inventors learn from mistakes. It's important to understand what doesn't work if you want to figure out what does work. So, just like in school, when we make a mistake, we learn from our mistakes. Inventors do the same thing. So, here's Thomas Edison experiments with lenses in his lab in the 1980s or in the 1890s. When he was just 12, Edison got a job selling newspapers on a train that made a daily 5-hour round trip ride between Port Huron and Detroit, Michigan. He set up a lab in a train's baggage car. In Detroit, he had a long wait before the train headed home, so he'd have to go to the public library to read science books there. Welcome to Thomas Edison's Invention Factory. He set it up in 1876 in Menlo Park, New Jersey. People who worked there did not work on their own ideas. Making Edison's ideas a reality was their job. Edison said his factory would produce a minor invention every 10 days and a big trick every 6 months. At times, his staff was working on more than 40 ideas at once. He was known as the Wizard of Menlo Park. A patent is an official recognition that an idea is new and that whoever came up with it owns it. A patented idea can be sold or rented to other people or companies. In 1869, Edison got his first patent. It was for an electrical vote recorder. By the time he died in 1931 at age 84, Edison had received 1,093 patents. They included some very important new things. He patented a new motion picture projector, a phonograph, and a telephone transmitter. He even patented a way to make rubber from a common weed, the goldenrod plant. Edison knew Americans would use electricity only if it was cheaper and more reliable than the natural gas used to light their lamps. Keeping his new electric lights on required a constant flow of electricity, so Edison designed the first power station. The station, which was on Pearl Street in New York City, began supplying electricity in 1882. So electricity is something very huge that we use today, every day, all the time. Very few inventions are all new. Most build on ideas that came before. For example, Edison developed the first practical incandescent light bulb, which produces light by heating a filament or a wire. But Edison had based his invention on earlier experiments made by British scientist Michael Faraday. Two other scientists had created an electric lamp before Edison, but theirs stayed lit for only a few hours because the thin filament inside the bulb burned out or caught fire. Here's where the 99% perspiration part comes in. Edison tried 6,000 different kinds of filament before he found one that stayed lit for a long time. So as you can see, as an inventor, he's not giving up. He kept trying. 6,000 times he tried. Then we have just a little quick glance into another inventor, Louis Latimer. Louis Latimer improved Edison's light bulb. He invented a carbon filament that lasted much longer than any other filaments. He became the first African American member of the Edison Pioneers. This was a group of Edison's best engineers, so he had a group of people that he trusted the most with his ideas to work on them to make them much better and to make them come to life. Edison's movies. Thomas Edison didn't invent the motion picture, but his lab did create the first practical movie camera, and he built the first movie studio. It was just a little shed on his property. At first, Edison produced very short 30-second films. They could be viewed through a peephole device called a kinetoscope. One of these early films, one of his employees, Fred out sneezing. The series of images here is from that film. Edison's company opened kinescope parlors in New York, Chicago, and San Francisco in 1894. Okay, so this was a little introduction to a few of the inventions that we still have today that people use, as well as to the great inventor Thomas Edison. Okay, so now that you've read, I need you to go back to your forums and answer the questions that go along with it. Come back tomorrow for more on the automobile. Bye, friends.